Episode 111, 11 Ways to be Sensationally Successful at Your Job.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilsa.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the show and to the 111th episode of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. So I hope that you have had a successful weekend mastering Friday's exercise, day one thinking, at least in your private life, implying that you don't work on the weekends. And in that sense, I thought I would continue the run really on, being successful in your job, implementing, that was the word I was looking for, day one thinking in your professional realm. Not only in your in the privacy of your own home or in your private surroundings, which still are limited by all of the shenanigans going on, and so I chose an interesting theory that I came across, which outlined 11 ways to be sensationally successful at your job. Now, why are we doing this? Or why was this worth even considering? Because, most of you are professional, but, are good at what you do, are professional, are successful at your jobs. That's what I am implying, because most of you have been listening to this show quite long. And we've got, a lot of loyal subscribers to the show, and the feedback, kind of puts a foundation under that assumption. And so that being said, the reason to choose exactly this episode today was simply because the numbers just go together so nicely. So it was the 111th episode, and there are, 11 ways to be sensationally successful. And it's going to be a longer episode, I'm afraid, because, as things develop, I'm going to be quite detailed on my exploits about these, 11 points. So we're probably going to crack the 20 minutes. Let's see, right? So without further ado, there are 11 things we're going to be talking about. So number one is behave as if you're still being interviewed. Number two, see your manager as a person you help, not as a person who tells you what to do. Number three, build relationships based on performance, not conversation. Number four, go the extra mile early and often. Number five, spot the high performers and mimic them. Number six, think 3 moves ahead. Number seven, find a way to stand out from the crowd. And this, not only in a negative sense. Number 8, create your own project. Number 9, find people who need your help. Number 10, never forget why you were hired. And number 11, do it better than everyone else. Now, number 1, behave as if you're still being interviewed. That's kind of like a no-brainer, right? When you're being interviewed for a job, this implies that you are in a job and not self-employed, but also kind of it rings true for your own business. But anyhow, behave as if you're still being interviewed. What you're doing in an interview is basically giving a sales pitch, if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, you're giving an elevator pitch. You're you want to shine in front of the interviewing person and the company and the job that you're looking to land. And because the contents of your pitch but the content of your pitch is always going to be something that you're going to be looked upon, graded upon, reviewed upon. You get into an organization because you have a certain set of skills, and if you fulfill those continuously and don't start slacking once you've landed the job, you're going to be in a good situation because your development is going to be linear, at least, if it's not going to increase because you perform extra studies to excel in different fields that are also relevant to your organization, right? And so it's important to kind of, remember what you pitched to the HR person interviewing you, and then kind of sticking to those skills and fulfilling them for the organization. Because in the case that you're going to be, interviewed for a performance interview in a year or whatever, it's like nobody can ask you stupid questions about, hey, I don't know, stupid example. Hey, you told us, Excel and, you have basic skills. So, if you pitched a bit too high, it's important from day one to personally and on your own time kind of excel in that Excel field. Sorry. Stupid word joke there. Number 2, see your manager as a person you can help, or you help, not as a person who tells you what to do. This goes towards proactivity, right? It's if you know what's going on in the organization and if you understand what your manager is doing, not only is there a good chance that you're going to be replacing the manager soon, right? It's an important set of skills to have. What does he do, or she, or they? What do they do all day long? And how can you make their life easier? Because then you'll be the teacher's pet. Number one, if he doesn't have to look after you, or if they don't have to look after you, it's like it's a no-brainer, right? They're going to love you. If you deliver on time and if you deliver what they want before they even know what they want, you're going to be very good. And within a rather short amount of time, you're going to be able to, apply for their job because, knowing what people want before they know it themselves is kind of an important skill and a quite easy one to learn, by the way. So instead of asking your, manager, or expecting your manager to come to you and tell you what to do, it's like, I already got this figured out. It's like, here, and take a shit on their desk and go, okay, this is probably what you wanted. And they're going to be shitting kittens. And yeah, they're going to kind of love you and they're going to become afraid of you. So you have to watch out if it's a political player. But there's a very good chance that, their position is going to become vacant any time in the future. And then you're going to be the runner up. So that for that. Number 3, build relationships based on performance, not on conversation. And what this tries to kind of outline is that you've got talkers and you've got doers inside an organization, right? And it's important to stick with the doers. Now, they're not going to be the social type that's going to hang around in the cigarette corner, my kind of people. But they're going to be rather productive and they're going to be no bullshit. And that's the attitude that you should develop, just to be a person, to stick around in your organization for a longer period of time until at least a headhunter comes and kind of steals and buys you out of the position you're currently in, right? So that's important to keep in mind, to kind of swim with the doer fishes rather than the talker fishes. And, as a consultant, you can do that. You can stand around in the nicotine corner all day long, talk shit, and get paid. At the end of the day, you do have to deliver, but it's a lot about, brainstorming, and that is just best in rather social environments. So on to number 4, go the extra mile early and often. And this is important, to prove your worth in the organization. Keep in mind they're paying you money, more likely than not good money, with tons of benefit. Now, it's nothing to be grateful for, right? Because you're exchanging time for money. That's it. That's the equation. And it's very simple. Other than the Drake equation, it's very, very, very simple. And you have to be worth your money. That's basic economics. So, if you go the extra mile, even if you get paid well for it, you're going to be the first one in the office. That's not me. That's you. I hate getting up in the morning. I haven't understood the concept. But be early or be late or both. Just the mere presence of you being the, last person out, first person in, will kind of have a certain amount of significance to your reason for being there. It'll add value. But, in that time, get a lot of shit done. Do stuff that is, that can bring you forward and bring the organization forward, whatever it may be, optimizing processes, like we mentioned in day 1 thinking, it's like adapt that, listen to the episodes that we did earlier, the other exercises, which are always on, even numbers, 20, 25, 30, 35. What's the word I'm looking for? Forgot. Anyhow. And from there, it'll start to become a lot easier for you in the organization because everybody's looking at you in a positive way, right? So that being said, number 5, spot the high performers and mimic them, right? We just mentioned that in the relationships to build with the performance people, right? If you hang around them, look at what they do and do it the same way, right? Because there's a reason they're, getting all the bonuses and the promotions and the secretary and the company car and everything. And that's why they figured out how the organization, that's because they figured out how the organization works and what rewards or what stuff is being rewarded and what is being punished, right? And it's a bit of sucking up, but you chose the job over, having your own company. So therefore, I think it's much of a no-brainer to, try and be like those people. Now, that being said, let's go on to number 6. That's about being 3 moves ahead. And that's true for the tasks that you're entrusted with. It's about finishing those quicker than anyone else, obviously, with at least the same amount of errors, more importantly, none, or, more beneficially, none. And that's like, the chess game that you're playing. But you're also playing the chess game in a corporate political sense, a game that I suck at. And so for a lot of people, that's, like what they keep busy with most of the day. It's like, playing corporate politics. And don't do that, because you still have to get shit done, right? And those people are going to be the suckers, who take information, the completely stupid situation. Everybody's supposed to do a PowerPoint presentation on their performances. And, you've got the one jerk who sits in the office all day, plays politics. He's going to take one of your presentations, which he's supposed to review, copy it, put in their own numbers, and then send that off, having the work done in 2 minutes that you took 3 hours for, right? And that's not what I'm meaning with corporate politics. Of course, you have to have your feelers out of, who's doing what and where and when and what positions are becoming vacant and what you need to apply, what skills, are your performances enough? Do you need to kind of tweak something in your performance reviews or whatever, and that kind of bit. So the 3 steps ahead rule is, true from anything, like menial tasks that you're actually doing, up until, the large strategic picture where you're playing corporate politics. Number 7, find a way to stand out of the crowd, and not in a negative sense. It's not like, don't be the jerk off, that pisses at everyone and is, famous for being a negative Nancy. It's about really standing out with optimizing the organization. It's easy for a lot of people, and I've heard this argument so often. It's like, I don't fucking care. It's not in my scope. It's one of the most famous quotes any consultant will say. And I hate my guild for that. It's like, that wasn't in the scope. And, for the employee, it would be, well, that wasn't in my job description. Well, fuck you. It's about, you're there for one reason, and that's to move the organization forward and make it grow. Because if it doesn't grow, you're going to be out of a job soon. That's something which a lot of employees have yet to understand, and consultants even more, right? But consultants are, more short-term. They're on a timely project, and if the organization goes bust, they don't give a fuck, right? But you should, because you're working there, and that organization is, sending you a paycheck every month or every week or whatever. And if you fuck up, then the organization won't exist. And there we go. Rest is history. So it's about, finding positive ways to stand out, which will also kind of help you to excel your career and make you climb up the ladder and that kind of bit, right? So number 8, create your own project. And it's kind of difficult, to create your own project if you're working like a minimum wage job. But, this is more about the corporate environment. Number 1, if you create your own project, you're stimulating your brain because you're learning shit. Number 2, we get back to helping the organization, presumably. And whatever you do to help the organization helps you secure your paycheck. It's that easy. So number 3, it's going to make you stand in a positive light. It's going to shine a green light over your head because, you did more than the rest of the paycheck suckers that are there. You stand out like a positive sore thumb. Positive for the organization, negative because you're going to be the asshole that's doing, overtime and helping the organization and, with stuff that wasn't in your job description, blah, that kind of ordeal. Sorry. So you have to stand over that, and you have to learn to accept that you're going to be, not everybody's darling. But that's corporate politics. Number 9, find people who need your help. And many, many moons ago, well, not many, many, well, probably many, many moons ago, we made an episode about being kind to someone for no particular reason. And this is true for inner organizational development as well. Number 1, it's a very, very, very rewarding feeling, just helping someone out who is stuck. And if you have a skill that they don't, it creates these relationships, these things called relationships. And if that person is true because you helped them out, and they're not, kind of like a corporate politic motherfucker, they're going to help you out when your ass is against the wall with a skill set that they may have, or you're out of time and need to deliver and, whatnot. You can ask them for help because, it was like, hey, remember? It's like this bribe game. But good people, and let's assume, you work with good people, will remember what you did for them. And so they will return the favor more often than not. Number 10. Never forget why you were hired. And this goes back to number 1. It's like, behave as if you're being interviewed. Always do so. And the reason for being hired is because you were, impressive. Because more likely than not, your resume will have been very similar to the other ones that were submitted. And so it was up to your personality and to a few other minor variations You will probably never find out what they actually were. And you should continue to try and manifest those things, and then build on them. That's what I'm trying to say. Number 11, do it better than everyone else. This is kind of like a reflection upon mimicking the outperformers. But there's always room for improvement, as we learned in Friday's episode, number 110, which was the day one thinking. It's about looking at problems in a different light, and particularly if you've been in an organization for an extended period of time, you very quickly fall into this, well, it's worked out this way always. Why should I look at it and improve it? Well, there's always a reason to do so, right? It's, perhaps, I don't know, in the past 20 years that you've been doing it the way you've been doing it, technology has advanced a little bit. Remember that cell phone you had 20 years ago? It's a bit different now, isn't it? So perhaps there are new ways to solve problems. Technology has evolved. People have evolved. You've hopefully attended seminars on, how to do your job better. And that has evolved. Knowledge has evolved, and knowledge evolves constantly. So it's about, really taking your time to see, is there new software out there to tackle problems more efficiently? Are there consultants? Can we outsource certain problems that the organization is confronted with, or challenges that the organization is confronted with to, maybe other countries? And it's got to be vetted, and there have to be use cases for it, right? So it's a lot of work that goes into it. And that's what I meant with the own project, for instance, taking on something like that, bringing the organization forward by saving it a few $1 million a year. Right. And that's it, basically. Those are the 11 ways to be sensationally successful at your job. There's probably 100 more, but those were the 11 I came up with. So that were kind of like, okay, we got to cover those. So what's left to say? Forgot to say it in the middle. Subscribe to the podcast. Share, this episode with someone who, needs to excel in their job, maybe. But maybe even, people just out of college who are looking to land a job. It's kind of very educational for them as well. And it's about landing the job. It's about keeping the job. It's about keeping the organization alive and thriving so that you will, until you retire, get your paycheck. Right. So, in that sense, subscribe to the podcast, share it with others. Very important. Have a successful day. And if you've already had a successful day because you are on the other side of the world, I wish you a good night. Keep your hands above the blanket. Peace out. I will be in touch with you tomorrow. Again, as always, Monday through Friday, noon GMT or UTC, whatever you prefer. And peace out. Love y'all, and be in touch tomorrow. See you soon. Bye-bye.